to Rob about a bunch of stuff, and that was a lot of fun. Rob's an interesting guy. I really enjoyed that hangout. But anyway, before that, Jaron did a video where he went out really early in the morning, was it like you have to, either that or fairly early in the evening, and watched the ISS. And tell us a little bit about what happened, Jaron, that you kind of came across with that.
Sure, yeah. Because I got my laser and had it all charged up and everything, and we've been watching it for a while, trying to find the perfect time to, record the screenshot of, the ISS live as it's coming over, and then to go outside, hopefully finding a clear day, and then shooting the laser up in an attempt to see if we could see the laser below. And to be honest, I think I expected to see it. Expecting that what goes across the sky was a high altitude plane that was recording footage from there, and that I would see the laser. That was kind of my expectation. So we waited and we woke up at 6 or so, or 5:30 the other morning, and went outside, and I was stoked because it was completely clear. I mean, there was not a cloud in the sky, and I said, this is going to be awesome. It was supposed to come right over about 6:05 or 6:10, which is right in between, like right after sunrise, a little bit, maybe a little bit before, but it was right there at that perfect time where I thought we'd be able to see it perfectly. Well, sure enough, my wife was out recording on the camera, and we saw it appear. It starts to come over, and saw some weird things. Number one is I saw it not maintain a straight path. It was kind of ducking and diving a little bit, at times even appearing to slow down and speed up, which was interesting. So then I shot my laser up at it, shined it for about, almost 3 minutes as it passed over our house, and then we both ran inside to see what we saw. And the footage shows a cloud-covered California. So it definitely was not shooting what we were seeing, because there was no clouds in the sky, and we were easily able to see the ISS going over our head. So how could it not see the ground, but we can see the ISS? So completely changed my opinion about that. Now I think that it's even, more out in our face, that it's not actual footage. And we actually went out day before yesterday, I think. Again, it came by in the morning, and I did it again, and same thing. It's not showing what we see in the sky. So I challenge everyone. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I seem to remember that during one of our ISS live shows, somebody in Australia was like, because that's where the ISS allegedly was like over Australia. And the person was like, no, that's not what the sky looks like at all. It's a clear night, absolutely no clouds in the sky. And of course, the ISS was showing cloud cover like crazy, like they always do.
Yeah, that's pretty typical for sure. And in fact, I had the exact same experience when I was getting up early in the morning and going out to check on the ISS. Exactly the same experience as you, Jaron. I would have the ISS feed up. I would see the ISS coming over the horizon. And it was a perfect, crystal clear day in Denver. A little cold out because it was in the middle of the wintertime, but it was absolutely crystal clear. And here comes the ISS, over the top of us. And, I'm sitting there watching it on the live feed, and lo and behold, it's showing cloud cover all the way across the United States. Now, I don't know how often that actually happens, or if it even does happen, but the idea that it would show cloud cover for literally 3,000 miles is absurd. You only see stuff like that maybe when there's a massive hurricane, coming into the area. But
same thing. It was, when you go back and watch, and you can watch my video, which actually shows, the camera feed, so you can see what we were showing outside, that there is not a cloud to be seen, and then watch the ISS coming across and see how it shows the entire country is covered. We didn't see ground again until we got near the Great Lakes, I think, is as soon as we saw land on the feed. So definitely something is afoot there. I definitely no longer think that they're showing anything resembling what is actually going on at that time.
Yeah. The other thing that was really weird also is the distance. It was one of those mornings where it had quite an extended visibility across Denver. And what was interesting about it is by the time it got towards the southeast side of Denver, I was still seeing it, but yet the live feed was showing it nearly to like Florida, which, yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. So that's another thing you want to look out for. It seems to be traveling much faster on the live feed than it is when you're actually watching it traverse over the top. And I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, to add a frame of reference to this, Hurricane Sandy is allegedly the largest hurricane to ever form in the Atlantic Basin, which was 1,000 miles in diameter. So that just sort of gives you a frame of reference of how even a very large hurricane doesn't cover more than 1,000 miles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I challenge anybody to, please go do this on your own. It's something that is completely free. You can go to that N2, the letter N2, and then YO.com and, find the ISS, and then you can tell it to alert you via text message or however you want, email, and you can set the time. So I had it set, 20 minutes before, and then go to the live feed. The best place you can go is Jeranism.com, and then you select I think it's under more, that says ISS viewer. The reason that's cool is because I put both feeds on top of a map of where the ISS is. And then what you do is go to a free screencast software like Screencast-O-Matic is the name of a site that is free. You can start recording your screen, so then leave it on that screen and then go outside and film the ISS go over your head. And, it is tough to get, a perfect day. Don't expect to get it right the first time, but find a day where, it's either really clear or really cloudy, either way, whatever you want to look at, and then record your screen as the thing goes over and then run in and check it. And would love to hear some results, but I doubt you're going to see anything that confirms that the ISS is legit.
Yeah,
just a bit of advice: if you do use Screencast-O-Matic, there's a feature where you can turn off or toggle off their logo, which by default is right smack in the middle of the screen. So the very first video that I did using Screencast-O-Matic had the entire thing rendered with the Screencast-O-Matic logo right smack in the middle of the screen. So just saying.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah.
I think that, there's not very many sites that I pay for. But that is one. I think, and it could be more now, but back when I bought it, it was $9.99 for the year, and you get that thing removed, and then also can store some stuff on their site. So when I find a good site that I think is helpful, I'd recommend, $10 for the year worth of being able to record your screen is not that bad of a price.
Yeah, that's not too shabby at all. So and so also for those of you that are wondering why we're showing the ISS feed right now, one thing that we're seeing right now is cloud cover as far as you can see for hundreds, if not thousands of miles. I mean, who knows exactly what the distance to the horizon? I'm sure we could calculate it, but the point is that they do this with the ISS feed because they don't want anybody to see actually any ground features or anything that may be going on in the skies, at specific times that people can actually identify. And I'm convinced that that's why they show this, because let's face it, the Earth is not completely covered in clouds like this from side to side, front to back. And it's been this way, since we've had it on. Literally, we have not seen one iota of ground or ocean. And then typically when we do see something, it's usually over water. Which is interesting because when we fly, especially when we fly to Hawaii, it's like most of the clouds seem to accumulate over water. And yet the ISS always shows the water as being, clear, not always, but when it does show something. And the land, you hardly ever see any land features whatsoever, let alone anything identifiable. Unless, of course, you go to their after pre-processed stuff, in which case at that point you can see lightning strikes and city lights and everything, but you never ever see that on this particular feed. And we started this nearly 2 years ago, especially a big part of it was looking at the ISS feeds. And it's just so phony, it's ridiculous. Absolutely phony as a $3 bill. So, and the other thing is that if you're looking up, we often hear, oh, I can actually go outside and I can look up and I can see the ISS. But, I want you guys to think about something, those of you that are saying that. And that is, the ISS is roughly the size of a football field or just slightly larger than a 747. Now, anybody that's seen a 747 or any jet fly over, they're usually flying at about 35,000 feet. And when they're at that altitude, you can see them, but you can't really make out much. You can't really tell what airline it is or anything like that. And that's at a mere 35,000 feet. So, which is a little over 6 miles up in the air. So you need to think about that. And the ISS is allegedly flying over us at 250 miles. So it is an exponential amount of distance further away. And to even think that you can spot it with the naked eye is ludicrous. And, those who are supposedly catching it with a telescope, again, even then, telescopes don't have that level of magnification. They simply don't. And so it would be highly unlikely that you would be able to. Now, yes, we are fully aware of the people that say, oh, no, we photographed it and stuff like that. But I would ask you to consider that if it is indeed something else, like maybe a U-2 spy plane that's rigged up with lights on the bottom, and it's flying maybe at around 100,000 feet, well, in that case, then that's a different story. And in fact, I believe that is what it is. So, before you start throwing out these crazy claims left and right that, oh, we can see it, or all of this stuff, really think about, perspective and how your vision works. And if you believe that you can see an object the size of a 747 250 miles away, then you must come from the planet Krypton.
Which is 1.3 million feet. So, I mean, we hear about 30,000 feet or 20,000 feet, and we can see a plane. Okay, yeah, that's true. But you're talking about 1.3 million feet when you're talking about 250 miles. That's a little bit crazy. Another thing that I've noticed about the ISS is even if you go now and look at the HD feed, actually, I can't tell which one. Yeah, I think it's the HD feed. There is more than half the screen is taken up with like clunky metal, and it just makes no sense. Why would that ever be the view that they would think anybody wants to see? It's just obvious. I mean, just think that your job is you're going to take pictures of the Earth from space, and so in half the screen you put clunky metal that doesn't even look like it's put together correctly, or that any engineer would ever think that was a good use of space or good design. And it's just nonsense. It would not look like that. And yeah, the reason that they process your night images, like you said, the ones that show lightning and things like that, is they'll never tell you what day that was. So there's no way for you to verify anything about it. So I challenge all those who say, well, we see the ISS. Well, you see something in the sky. How are you going to prove that that's the ISS?
Yeah.